All right, welcome everyone. Hello, my name is Eric Sanderud. I'm the project lead of VistaHops.com. And today, in our continuing series of interviews with Vista Hop folks, we've got a very special guest, one of the few Pacific Northwest growers who has already grown and harvested Vista, and an absolute legend of high oil Cascade, John Segal of Segal Ranch. Welcome, John, and thank you for joining us.
Eric, it's nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
It's my last little bit of fangirldom is your farm was one of the first farms that I heard about when I was growing hops back, 8 years ago here in Minnesota. And we wanted to be Segal. We wanted to have those high oil public hop varieties that everyone was talking about. And so it's really fun to actually be here talking to you live. I think I've made it. I don't grow hops anymore, but here I am.
That's very nice. That's very nice. Yeah, we were the first farm to commercially cultivate the Cascade variety. I give all the credit to my father. I'm third generation. But yeah, in '68, we planted 56013, which was the experimental number 4, which later became Cascade. So yeah, that's, I kind of usually wear a Post-it right here, saying that, but I don't have it on today. So,
well, we'll keep it in mind for ourselves. So yes, thank you for the slight introduction, but could you tell us kind of where Segal Ranch is at today, kind of acres, varieties, a little bit of the history?
We just concluded, last year was our 80th harvest. So we've been around for 80 years. I'm third generation. My grandfather got his startup in upstate New York, in Malone, New York in 1941. We had 100 acres in Malone on the Canadian border. And then eventually he also had 100 acres in Grandview, Washington in the mid 40s. In 1959, we rolled up our trellis and closed New York State because of powdery downy and blue mold. Really just knocked out all the hop growing in New York State. And then everything came to Grandview, and we've been in Grandview ever since. My grandfather was kind of a gambler as well. I mean, he had 2 hop farms in bi-coastal, and he was one of the first people to actually fly on an airplane. This is a long time ago. So he was pretty much of a maverick as well. We've always been kind of known as a maverick farm. We are small. We're about 470 acres, which is really small in today's hop growing. I mean, I'd say the average hop farm today is 800 acres minimum. So we're at 470 in the lower valley. We think the terroir in the lower valley is also a great place to grow hops. I spoke about terroir 13 years ago when no one was talking about terroir.
I love me terroir.
Yeah. I actually got my start working at Anchor Brewing Company out of college. I worked for Fritz Maytag a long time ago. I worked in packaging, and I also was his very first tour guide at Anchor Brewing Company on Mariposa Street. And then started working for my dad for about 5 years, and then actually left the hop business. So our ranch really became more of an Anheuser-Busch farm for about 35 years. And then when InBev bought AB, and that's a whole nother story, and my father passed away, then I eventually got back in the business, and I just concluded my 12th year being back at the ranch in Grandview. So it's been a great run. I mean, we were down to about 83 acres after the InBev AB acquisition, and we had to rebuild the farm. And thanks to craft breweries, we were able to build the ranch back to where it is today. We've primarily always been grower direct, even when my dad was around. But we also grow proprietary varieties as well. I would say right now we're about 75% public and 25% proprietary.
Awesome. Well, let's dig into that small percentage of that public, shall we? Tell us about Vista. What has your, I understand that you were one of the few elite line trial grow out locations in the state of Washington when it was known as 074. Is that
correct?
Right?
Yeah. We always had a nursery for AB for years, for about 4 acres for experimental varieties. And folks, in the industry knew that we are always all about trying to propagate new and exciting varieties on a small level. So we were approached by the USDA, and we were thrilled to be and honored to have the opportunity to grow 074. I mean, our ranch manager, Martin Ramos, who is our third manager, he's just completed his 27th year with us. He's kind of known as the hop whisperer. Vinny Chirloso gave him that title. He's also breeds hops himself, and we have some experimentals that we also have out there. Awesome. But Martin's a tremendous grower, and it was a real compliment and honor to plant 074. So he just told me about it. He goes, "Hey, by the way, we're growing this going to do this acre for 3 years. I go, great. And we knew nothing about the hop, obviously. So 074 comes into the farm. And first year, baby year, it was kind of a tough year, just growing wise. We had smoke, we had heat. It was just, terrible year for babies in general.
Yeah.
But the last 2 years, we looked at this hop and we went, holy crap, this is a big ass hop, big cones, solid cones, big, bushy, vibrant plants. And we're pretty stoked about it. In the rub, the first 2 years, I honestly wasn't impressed in the rub about the hop. But then last year, I rubbed it and I got, wow, I'm getting this like wine, berry, apple, pear thing. Yeah. Very clean, which is a good thing, the alpha's around 11, so it's really not, super alpha, but it has this clean type feel like a nugget, but with more character. So it was kind of intriguing. But it wasn't until I tasted a beer. I got the folks at Stone recently to do a smash beer with 074 Vista. Yeah. And damn, they just produced a fantastic beer. It was an IPA. They used their base type IPA. And they sent me a couple cans, and it just had this incredible candied apple, really, really nice aromas and flavors. So, we think this hop has the future. We are expanding another 3 acres putting in the ground. We've already sold about 5,400 pounds. So the original acre is already sold. I mean, this hop last year did 15 bale, by the way, the third year. So, that's 3,000 pounds an acre, which is ridiculous. So we're excited about it. We're going to have some in the ground. We're going to have some for sale. But it really, our job is to grow the very best hops we can and let the brewers decide from trials and recipe generation whether Vista will have a future. And hops like Cascade and Simcoe and Citra, it took some time, but eventually a good hop that shows promise will eventually make it. So we're excited.
Yeah, so let's zoom in a little bit on the specific kind of characters of growing Vista. So, in our little design that we had made up, we have the very large cone,
right,
as emblematic of that. I actually also was able to trial 074 when we were still growing, and that was one of the things that stood out to us as well. These enormous cones, the largest cones on the farm by far. Any worry about cone size and shattering? It was fairly tight in our experience, but for the picker.
So we actually grow a lot of comets at the farm, and comets are like bananas when they're growing as well,
and they're pretty loose.
And the problem with the comet, and I love comets, we grow them for Russian River and Allagash and a number of really wonderful breweries. But comet has a very fluffy, big ass cone, and they get chopped up big time in our picker. I would say the cones stay pretty much intact. The Vista cones. The thing about Vista is that they're going to be a bits to pick, because if you don't prune them right, they get very bushy. So it's almost like a Chinook where they don't want to come off, So I'm not as concerned about shatter as I am about getting them off in the machine. But the cones are amazing. They're like they're like fake, So.
They look like the photos that, and no offense to anyone listening out there who grows hops in their backyard, looks like the photos Yali would show me at beer shows and be like, look how big my hops are.
Right. It's like
comically.
It's like the one hop on one vine that might be there. That's like, this is like, I mean, they're not always like that, but consistently it reminds me of a comet with a more solid cone. Yeah.
So any other feedback on that, on the brood or the rub sensory, for the brewers who are listening, how do you imagine the hop shows up in, different beer styles, and maybe particularly, how it might fit in a, overly hopped American modern IPA?
Right. Really great. I mean, again, this is a hop, and I really want this to get out. It's very important. I think this is a hop in the rub that's not going to wow you. You'll kind of rub it and go, oh, it's a nice hop. but you
Yeah.
really should give it a chance from a brewing standpoint because it really changes. And there are other hops that are like that too. So with Vista, I mean, I would say modern beers, this hop is great for because you're going to get the clean bitter, but with a lot of berry candied flavors, and an herbal area as well. Um, and I don't think this hop is going to be a standalone hop like a Citra or even a Cascade, where you could do a single hop, and that's it. But this hop, I think, combined with other hops in the recipe, will be really brilliant in it. I really think it'll be nice. So that's the other thing you have to realize too. I mean, a lot of times brewers will do a single hop beer, and Comet. I can tell you that some people have done single hop beers with Comet and don't like Comet. But when you use Comet with other hops, or if you dry hop with Comet, you're going to get these nice lemon notes that you might not necessarily get if you do a single hop. If you do a single hop with Comet, you're getting a lot of astringent notes, which kind of turns people off, where it really shouldn't if you have it with other hops in a recipe. So anyway, my take is on Vista that I think it would be a great hop in conjunction with other hops in either any modern style hazy or also in old school beers as well.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you sharing. For all the brewers in the audience, don't brew with the beer once and write it off, and maybe also smash is not the way to fully experience a lot of
Right.
different types of hops.
True. Very true.
Well, I don't need to take any more of your busy time. I would love to wrap up with just a few last questions, and the final question is what I'm going to edit that out.
Okay.
My final question is, talk to me about why public hops are important to you.
Well, all hops are good. All hops are good, and some are better. I mean, that's what's on the back of our hat, and you can't see it, but it is. All our hats say all hops are good, and some are better. And I think that there's a place for all hops, and it really is up to the brewers. They're like chefs, Do I think public hops are important? Absolutely. But I also believe that progress is also important, and when you can develop a hop that you've created to be proprietary, it also has a very important role if the brewers want it. So I think we're here to really, our job is to grow the very best hops we can every year, and every year is a new chapter, whether it's public or if it's private, and we grow both. Am I a fan of public hops? Absolutely, but we grow proprietary hops at the Segal Ranch as well. So the bottom line for me is I want people to come to our farm and rub our hops, and hopefully leave thinking that they've rubbed some very, very good quality product. And that's what we strive for, whether it's public or private.
Absolutely. Well, and so tell our audience where they can connect with Segal Ranch on the internet, how they can maybe get
Sure.
your hops. Where can they find you?
Well, you can always find us at Segal Ranch, Segal ranch.com, because Segal kind of gets butchered a lot. So it's Segal ranch.com. And there will be a list of varieties that we grow there, and we'd love to hear from you.
Well, all right. That does it for our time. Once again, thank you, John, for joining us. Thank you to all you folks listening and watching for joining us. Give us a comment or a share if you like this content. And I will say that I'm not the best interviewer, but I'm always looking for ways to get better. So if you have tips, let me know in the comments, or you can reach out to me on vistahops.com. One last time, thank you very much, John and Segal Ranch, for being here and talking to us all about the exciting new Vista hop.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure. Thank you, Eric.